fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests from around the globe. We hope you're all enjoying this event so far. It's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't it? Come on, a bit more interactive, hasn't it? Yes, thank you so much. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. I'm a little bit tired, not so steady on my feet. But Eliza, I can see you're sitting down, which is cheating, I have to admit, but doesn't matter. We are Team Six, and we're here proudly representing Europe. Even though we've had Brexit, we still feel part of Europe. The United Kingdom, Ireland, Scotland, mainland Europe, we're all in it together. It is actually an honor. I know it's been said before by various team leads, but I'm really privileged to be here today in front of you all, leading this particular session. We have had plenty of good speakers already. We've got plenty more to come, so please do not run away. You're going to enjoy this session just as much. Now, I just want to remind everyone that this session, just like previous ones, is being recorded. So if you do not want to be on camera, please just turn your camera off. Maybe even cut the cord just in case you accidentally turn yourself on. We will be saving these later on, so if you do miss a session, they'll be available on YouTube. The theme today is slow but steady, constantly learning, constantly moving forward. What does that even mean? Well, let's break this down just a little bit. Slow could mean bad, couldn't it? It means bad. I'm going to work today. I'm stuck in traffic. Stuck in traffic of 2 hours. Cars moving really slowly. That's not great. What about steady? Steady could mean confident, not rocking around. Depends on whether you've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning or not. Perfectly balanced. That is a good thing. Do we agree on that at least? What about if you put these two words together? Strong and steady. Well, what it means is we're moving at pace, but a pace that we're comfortable with. We don't need to rush. We just absorb, we reflect, we apply. That's what we do at Toastmasters. We are building strong foundations upon which we add more and more learning, constantly moving forward. I hope you all agree with these sentiments because that's why I'm here today. Now, I'd like to welcome our Toastmaster today, Rupa. Rupa has been a Toastmaster since 2016 and served as District 91 Director. She loves wine pairing. I love drinking wine. Career development books and champions oracy in young people. She is currently the VP of Education. No, she's not, I lie. She's a VP of Membership for Wembley Stadium Speakers. Please give a big hand to Rupa Dutta.
Thank you very much, Team Leader, Distinguished Toastmaster Ram. I caught maybe the last 20 minutes of the last session, and I'm guessing that the speakers that we're about to hear in this session, so we've got another 10. I'm delighted to say that actually I know most of them and I had nothing to do with sourcing the speakers at all. Ram actually asked me to be Toastmaster of the Day about a month ago. We were in a car going to a demonstration meeting for a new corporate club in District 91. And on the way back, he said, Rupa, I'm a session lead for this event on the 19th of October. Will you be Toastmaster of the Day? And I said yes. And that's really the theme of what we've heard so far. And I think the opportunities that some of the speakers are going to be talking about in this session. I'd like to introduce the other role holders that are going to make the next 2 hours happen. So we've got Matty Behan from District 71, who's our timer, has her hand up. We have Shivani Karai, who is our Zoom master, who I've never actually met in person, but I believe that I'm going to be meeting her on Monday at the area contest. We also, in this session, will have a Q&A after every other speaker. So the format will be 2 speeches and then about 3 minutes for questions. So think about what you've heard and what you're listening to. And it's Eleanor Gramenu from District 109, who is our Q&A master for this session. And if we're running to time, we're going to allow you to have a bit of a 5-minute break after around speech 4 or 5. And Helena Bowden-Brewer distinguished Toastmaster, who was my predecessor as District 91 Director, will be chit-chat master for those 5 minutes. I'm going to challenge you all, before we get into it, to let's get the numbers up for this session. So if all of you can invite one more guest, one other Toastmaster, to come and join part of this session, let's see if we can get these numbers up to at least 150 in the next hour or so. Okay, so let's get this show started. And once again, speaker number one is somebody that I do know very well. I served as one of his area directors when he was district director of District 91 way back in 2018-2019. Andy Hammond is going to be speaking about opportunities. He was recognised with a presidential citation in 2022 and has served as a member of the International Leadership Committee as well as district leadership committees more than once. Andy will reflect on his slow but steady journey in Toastmasters and the unforeseen opportunities it has provided. So with his speech entitled Opportunities, please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Andy Hammond.
Opportunities don't pause, they pass. Madam Toastmaster Rupa, pleased to see you. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. I nearly let this opportunity pass. When I got the invitation from Ram, I thought, I'm not worthy of this esteemed company. Who am I? But then I read his very positive, polite and encouraging words, and I thought, maybe I should take this opportunity. So thank you, Ram, for encouraging me. Isn't that just Toastmasters? People encouraging others to step outside their comfort zones, to grasp those opportunities and to grow and develop. So I'm glad I grasped this opportunity. And I just want to chat and share with you some of the opportunities that Toastmasters has brought me in my professional life, Toastmasters, of course, and in my personal life. I originally joined Toastmasters nearly 24 years ago because I wanted to improve my work presentations, my training. I felt I was okay. Who wants to be okay? And I'd heard about Toastmasters from my brother, and I thought he was mad to do it. So I went along to a meeting and I thought, this is just what I need to help me at work. Initially, it was just about improving my skills. But after a while, I reflected on why I needed to improve those skills. I was working in public sector, dealing with policy and performance. And what I said to the politicians mattered in terms of helping them make the best decisions for thousands of people that they served in the county. So my ability to communicate well was actually critical to the outcomes. So it wasn't just about the skills, it was why I needed those skills. I ended up getting all sorts of opportunities then, facilitating major seminars of multiple organisations. I even hosted the staff annual awards, the equivalent of the Oscars, twice, so I couldn't have been too bad. That was a really great opportunity to do that. And I saw the value of those skills to the organisation. So I started a club, County Communicators, actually inside the County Council. And after a while, senior managers started coming to me and saying, we know who's a member of your club, we can tell the difference. That was invaluable to me, to see them making a difference. I won't go on too much about work. I can move on to Toastmasters. Now, my Toastmasters history, you've heard a bit of it from Rupa. I joined, and within 6 months, I was Vice President of Education. You know that old phrase, I see something in you? Well, I was conned. I was told, you would make a good VPS. All you have to do is send out agendas twice a month. I did the role for 2 years because after the first year, I thought, I've nearly got the hang of this now. But it was that somebody encouraging me, pushing me forward that made me grasp the opportunity. And since then, I've done virtually every role in the club. I think I've been a club officer for 20 out of those 24 years. And it's great. You learn so much. You get to give back as well. My first mentor when I first joined Toastmasters, Robin Chawner, really took me under his wing. And he encouraged me to become an area governor. That's what it was called back decades ago. So I became area governor in 2004 and then division governor. And then I got involved in district conferences as a result. I was really inspired by these events. Back then, District 71 was the whole of UK and Ireland, not the split that it is now. I started going to district conferences and thought, this is amazing. This is a community that gets together. So much so that I actually became conference director in 2007. There may be a couple of people here. Ted, Teresa, you may remember that conference in Portsmouth, the Victory Conference. Again, a massive opportunity I never knew existed when I first joined Toastmasters, to create an event with a group of us to deliver such an amazing event to the members of District 71 as it was then. Then eventually I became a member of the district leadership team, 2006. Yes, I know, quite slow and steady getting there. But I'm glad I did it. So I spent 3 years on the leadership team, a year as past district director, and phenomenal experience leading the district. And of course, attending international conventions then. And that opened up a whole new world of international friends and colleagues. I've got such a massive contact list across the world now that I never imagined possible when I first joined Toastmasters. And let's be fair, the travel was an extra bonus as well. I got to go to Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, Lisbon, Vancouver. I never saw any of that coming. But now onto the personal side. The self-confidence I've gained from Toastmasters has changed my life, it's no question. In fact, my motto as district director in my year was changing lives one speech at a time. And I've had many opportunities to put that into practice. I mentioned earlier my first mentor, Robin Chawner. He sadly passed away in 2019. His family asked me to deliver a eulogy. I'd like to think my experience in Toastmasters made him and the family proud. It really was quite a touching moment. You should probably hear my voice, sorry. I think what would have amused him, though, was the fact that afterwards, the celebrant actually inquired about joining Toastmasters. So I think I might have made some impact with that eulogy. And of course, the classic, the best man speech. My oldest and closest friend, Ian, eventually got married after many years. And it was such a thrill to be able to deliver that speech at his wedding. And possibly the proudest moment in my life, the father of the bride speech at my daughter's wedding. To stand there and make the whole family proud was great. But my final example actually gives me great personal satisfaction. A big school reunion to mark 40 years since leaving school, with many people I hadn't seen for 40 years. That shy, timid Andrew, as I was known, they thought they knew, who then got up and stood in front of them all and delivered an hour-long pop quiz to their utter amazement, was such a delight for me. Not the person they knew, a totally different person. So Toastmasters has given me so many opportunities that I didn't let pass. Thanks for the support and encouragement of so many people over so many years. So what opportunities lay ahead for all of us that you're going to grasp and not let pass? Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Distinguished Toastmaster Andy Hammond, and I very much remember your quote and your motto for your year as District Director. The second speaker today is also someone that I know very well. In fact, we've been friends since 2019, and we've had a trial friendship since then. It gets extended every 6 months or so. He is a 2-time semi-finalist in the World Championship in Public Speaking, has won the District Humorous Speech Contest 4 times, and has been a Region 10 quarterfinal finalist twice. His actual first speech in Toastmasters was at a contest, which he went on to win and has got the bug ever since. With a speech entitled Light Bulb Moments, please welcome Dan Magill.
Thank you. Have you ever had one of those ideas late at night while you're lying in bed? No, not one of those ideas. No, buzzing with excitement, because you just know that if morning could come quickly enough, this is the idea that's going to change everything. And then morning does come, doesn't it? And suddenly it doesn't feel quite so clever anymore. Well, apparently there's some science behind this. What happens is, just before we go to sleep at night, our brain enters what's known as super learning mode. And it's when we're at our most creative. Now, the inventor of the light bulb, Thomas Edison, he loved his nighttime ideas. What he would do is, every night he would go to sleep in his chair, a little bit like some of you are doing now. He would go to sleep in his chair holding some marbles. And as he dropped off, so would the marbles, and it would wake him up. And then he would jot down as many ideas as he could, because he knew that's when he was at his most creative. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, back in February 2020, I had one of my very own late night light bulb moments. Lying in bed at 3 a.m, I decided it might be a good idea to quit my well-paid day job and become a stand-up comedian. Of course, the following morning, the doubts set in. So I called up my Toastmaster mentor to see what he thought. Go for it, he said. You'll make a hilarious comedian, he said. I can't wait to see this magical journey of yours unfold, he said. He said no such thing. He was my unpaid Toastmaster mentor. He didn't answer the phone, obviously. But it didn't matter. I'd made my decision. The following week, I handed in my notice at work and I went off to become a world-famous stand-up comedian. That was about 16 hours before the pandemic started. 18 COVID-filled, miserable months later, I got my first big gig at a big club. A big Toastmasters club. It went something like this. How many Toastmasters does it take to change a light bulb? 100. That's 1 to change the bulb and 99 to try and find the evaluation form on Basecamp. What's the difference between the world's laziest man and the Toastmaster website? The world's laziest man works sometimes. Anyway, it went okay. Afterwards, a lady came up to me. She was a guest. She said, Dan, she said, I love that. She was a liar. She said, I love that. I'd love to book you to come and tell some jokes at a charity night I'm running in London next month. And I thought, perfect, I'm in. So we exchanged details. We connected on Facebook. And the day before this gig, she sent me a private message on Facebook. She said, hi, Dan, I just want to check you're not planning on saying anything offensive tomorrow. She said, this is a charity for disadvantaged children and there'll be lots of sensitive parents in the audience. Now, I actually have a daughter with a disability. Her name's Emily and she's profoundly deaf. So I replied and I said, no problem. I said, I do actually have a deaf daughter and some of my jokes are about her, but don't worry, they're not offensive. That's what I thought I typed. What I'd actually typed was, no problem. I do actually have a dead daughter, and some of my jokes are about her, but don't worry, they're not offensive. Smiley face, thumbs up, wink. Now, I had no idea what I had sent. And she replied, I'm so sorry. That's just the worst thing that can happen to a parent. I didn't know. And I replied, no. We've always tried to make light of it. Even on the day we found out. We all went to Pizza Hut. She replied again. Do you mind if I ask how it happened? I said, we don't know. I said, we didn't even notice for the first 6 months. It was only when we were calling her and she was completely unresponsive, we got suspicious. As soon as I realized my mistake, of course, I made a full Facebook apology. You know, the one we all make on Facebook when we've done something wrong. I said, I'm terribly sorry. My account was hacked. Please ignore anything you've heard from me in the last 24 hours. 2 years on, I'm back at the day job, obviously. But I still do the comedy sometimes. I know I'm never going to be a professional stand-up comedian. I doubt it. But in a world that seems to be all about reaching the destination as quickly as possible, isn't it nice just to enjoy the journey sometimes? And when you think about it, that's a lot like sleep itself, isn't it? We don't go to sleep at night just to get through to the next morning as quickly as possible. We sleep to rest, to grow, to dream. And those dreams, those crazy, invigorating dreams that can often seem so silly when we wake up the next morning. What if they're not so silly? What if, just like Thomas Edison, yes, you might be losing your marbles, but you might also be stumbling across your very own light bulb moment. And that reminds me, I had a great idea last night. I'm going to call up my Toastmaster mentor and see what he thinks. Yes, it's a phone too. Hello, hey, it's Dan. Dan Magill. No, not Tinder, Toastmasters. Yeah. No, well, you gave me your number. No, I won't call you again. All right, okay. Thanks, Ralph. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Smedley. Yeah, okay. Thank you. He's changed. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Dan. Okay, so if you missed the beginning of this session, one of the things that we are doing in the next 2 hours is giving you as the audience the opportunity to ask questions of our speakers. So if I could ask the Zoom master to bring Andy and Dan back on screen, and hopefully some of you have thrown some questions to Eleanor, our Q&A master. Over to you, Eleanor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Rupa. I would like to ask our first speaker and Mr. Andy how your schoolmates interacted with you after this first speech of yours in front of them, after all they thought about you.
Well, after the initial reaction of Georgia, I had a chance to chat to some of them during the evening beforehand, so that they got the impression that perhaps I wasn't that same little timid lad they used to know. But to be honest, one or two of them just went, well, I could never do that. Oh, wow. And asked, obviously inquired why. So I did get a chance to sell Toastmasters to a few of them along the way. But yes, it was a, how did you do that type impression? And it was so satisfying just to be able to do that with the confidence to know beforehand that I can do this and they're going to be impressed. It did change perceptions. And when at that age, in my late 50s by then, that there's not the same sort of peer pressure. They are much more forgiving and actually genuinely interested in what you've done to achieve that in life. So it was a pleasant experience.
Thank you. And now I would like to ask Dan, how can Toastmaster help us in speaking about topics that are not, let's say, very easy to talk about?
I mean, as Andy was saying, I think Toastmasters can help us with everything in so many areas. In terms of helping us with speaking about things that maybe are a bit more difficult, I mean, I suppose you could potentially say comedy could be that. I hope what I gave then was a speech that had some humor in it, and that can be challenging, and it can become more challenging these days, I suppose. And people get offended a lot more easily. I hope nothing I said then offended anyone, but it could potentially have done. And Toastmasters gives us that platform. It's a safe space. I hope it is always a safe space for everyone. And of course, there would still be limits, and there's still places we shouldn't really go. But it does give us that chance to, whether it's humor, whether it's something a bit more sensitive we want to talk about, it's a place we can come and we can practice it and have a go. And hopefully, the audience will take it in a spirit, which again, hopefully, it's meant.
Thank you. And now we'd like to invite Mr. Brian Skelton for his question.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just say something to Andy Hammond. I remember when you was the district director, you invited me along to do a speech at the conference, at the dinner. And that though it wasn't very long, it was something that really helped me, and it sort of changed my life, if I'm being honest. That really did spur me on and push me on to do the different things that I've done today. So I'd like to say thank you to you for that.
Yes, I remember it very well, Brian. It was the Saturday night dinner, wasn't it, a district conference? Yeah. And I'll be honest, it was a deliberate ploy not to choose all the well-known faces you hear every year, day in, day out, and to pick some unsung heroes, some members that deserve to hear their voice heard. So I was delighted to give the opportunity, Brian. I'm glad it did you some good as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all for this Q&A session, and I give back the floor to Rupa to continue because we have no more time.
Thank you very much, Eleanor, and thank you for your questions. Do keep them coming. We will do the same after the next two speakers. Our next speaker is a past region advisor of Region 10, and he served during the year that I was actually serving as division director, so somebody else that I've had the pleasure to meet in the past. He has been a member since 2003 and continues to serve the organisation in various different ways. In terms of the introduction to his speech, he says, leadership starts by yourself, and every step in your life journey is based on the decisions that you make. It's important to recognise in this journey that you don't travel alone. There's always someone that wants to help you, and you have to ask for help when it's needed. Toastmasters gives you the opportunity to take this step, and you will get your help from your friends. Don't be afraid to ask for help in your plan, because asking for help is a sign of strength and a sign of leadership. With a speech entitled Toastmasters, Where Leaders Are Made, please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Jaap Russchenberg. Jaap, you're muted. Jaap, you're on mute. Yep, sorry, no, you're still on mute.
Now must be on.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Toastmasters, where leaders are made? What a ridiculous statement is that? We are a speaking organization. We are not a leadership organization. When Toastmasters International introduced the motto, where leaders are made, about 10, 15 years ago, these were the reactions among the members. They didn't realize that Toastmasters is really a leadership organization. And I'd like to tell you more. Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, I'd like you to tell you more about how I see leadership. I'm 72 years old, I'm 6 years retired, and in all those time, I have done a lot of things in Toastmasters. Since 2003, I'm active in Toastmasters, fulfilled all kinds of roles, and I've seen what leadership can do. But let's first explain what is leadership. I am responsible for my own development. If I want to change myself, I have to take action. And I cannot make somebody else responsible for my actions. I am responsible for how to achieve my goal. I can never blame someone else. And in my life, I've experienced, if I want to change myself, I always needed some help from someone else. So talk about it. And I asked for help. And what I noticed, I found help in every situation. So I call this the first level of leadership. If I want to change, I am responsible for my own development and I have to take action. If I work in a team, there's leadership too, because the team can only be successful if the team, all team members are successful. That means if one of the team members needs some help, give some help. And if you need some help, ask for help. That is so important because as a team, you can only achieve the finish together. It's not a competition. Another level of leadership, what I call the third level of leadership, is if I lead a team, I am not successful. I can only be successful if the team is successful. That means I have to investigate the team. What are the strengths and what are the shortcomings in a team? And what can I do as the leader to make the team better? By coaching, mentoring, but perhaps developing the skills, what needs necessary, and even giving team members the trust to develop their own skills or to let them run. Because if the team is successful, I am successful. And that means team leadership and the leadership itself, and a personal leadership is what I call the 3 levels of leadership. Personal leadership is what I call level 1. Working in a team is leadership level 2, and working with a team that you guide a team is level number 3. But how can you relate that to Toastmasters organization? You're all club members. So if you want to develop yourself, you have to pick up roles, support roles in your team, in the club. If you want to develop yourself, participate in the table topics role. If you want to develop yourself, give speeches. All kind of decisions what you have to make. And if you need some help, you know who to ask in your club for some help. If you're a member of the executive committee, your responsibility is to work together to finalize the year. So if one of your team members needs some help, you help the person to be successful. Because if he or she is successful, you are successful. And if you need some help, ask for help. Just what Rupta had said, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is a sign of strength. If you are the club president, you can say, the team is working for me, but your responsibility is to find out what does the team need to be successful. Perhaps you have to give them some guidance, help to train them, or give them the possibility to make some changes. Trust your team members. Because then at the end of the year, you can say, we made it. Toastmasters create opportunities to develop and excel. And do you realize you can improve your speaking and also your leadership skills? And all can be done in a safe environment. So Toastmasters give you both speaking skills and leadership skills. And now I want to congratulate Toastmasters with the 100 years existence. And do you realize in those 100 years, more than 1 million people had the opportunity to develop their leadership and speaking skills. So I can very proudly say, Toastmasters, where leaders are made. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jaap. For those of you that have just joined us, we are adding a Q&A to this segment. So if you hear a speaker and would like to ask them a question, please find our Q&A master, Eleanor, and field your questions via her. Our next speaker is a past international director and someone that I will be hearing speak for the first time very shortly. Mary Morrison has enjoyed Toastmasters since 1998, when first invited by a friend. There's a common theme here. Her experiences as a Toastmaster over the 4 decades have convinced her that the more she puts in, the more joy she receives. Sharing with us today about the joy of Toastmasters, please welcome past international director Mary Morrison.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Many years ago, as a newlywed, I received an iconic cookbook called The Joy of Cooking. It contains so much good information about the basic recipes, like how to boil an egg, which I truly didn't know how to do, plus all about the ingredients, so that by the time you're finished going through the book, you know how to put together a feast. And you know it because you've taken a deep dive into it. Well, the book remained pristine in my life for a number of years before I took a dive into it. My Toastmasters journey has been similar. I didn't know right away about the joy of Toastmasters. It took me a while to figure it out, to get through the basics, nearly 2 years to get through the basic 10 speeches at first. Along the way, as I was building confidence in my abilities, I discovered there was a lot more to this, a lot more to Toastmasters than I had first imagined. I've given many, many, many icebreakers since then. I keep working and honing my vocal variety, my body language, my way with words, and still find there's more to come in Toastmasters. It wasn't enough to get through my basic speeches. I sought a leadership role in Toastmasters and served at my club for quite a few years before being tapped by yet another friend to serve as a district leader. And there I discovered my true joy in Toastmasters. While not much of a competitor myself, I did add the spice of competition and serving in contests in my early years. But what I really loved was helping others be the best speaker that they could. I loved organizing contests. I really blossomed when, along with contests, I started visiting other clubs and realizing every club had a culture that was so unique and had something to offer me, something I could learn from them. I started joining multiple clubs, advanced clubs, specialty clubs, clubs that focused on humor, clubs that focused on storytelling, clubs that gave me 4 evaluations for each speech. The evaluations took longer than the speech itself. And that's when I really started growing as a Toastmaster and realizing my own potential and more, helping others find their potential. But where I really started experiencing the joy of Toastmasters was in mentoring. Why mentoring? Well, after a few years in Toastmasters, I realized that I needed other perspectives in order to really understand how Toastmasters operated. I knew what I was getting out of it. I was getting a tremendous amount of happiness. I was fully committed to Toastmasters, but I didn't clearly understand what others found in Toastmasters, and I wanted to take a deeper dive into that. And I found it's through mentoring. It's through working with people who are new in their career that I have discovered the value of Toastmasters in their lives. It helps them pitch their business to potential investors. It helps them achieve their dreams of starting a new business, of being a CEO, of marketing to their board and letting their board of directors know that they add value to their organization. It gives me a perspective in generation. So whether they're new to their job or new to their workforce or more experienced, I can see what the challenges are. I, who've been retired for a number of years, still get engaged with the workforce and what the workforce needs of today are. And more than that, I get a chance to experience people from around the world. I live in a very small town in Western United States. Don't get out much for international travel. The benefits of Toastmasters are I get to explore the entire world by joining a group like today and getting to meet some new people. It's in Toastmasters and in experiencing the mentorship opportunities, whether being mentored myself or serving others as a mentor, that I've truly discovered how much being committed to Toastmasters benefits me and benefits those I mentor. Whether I'm mentoring someone in Switzerland or China or Canada or the United States or any of the other places, I discover that we all share something. We love to be fed by Toastmasters. I'm so happy to be part of this 100th anniversary because Toastmasters had fed me for more than a quarter century. And I hope I have many more years to come. And I hope you also experience the joy of Toastmastering. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mary. Zoom Master, can we bring Mary and Jaap back on stage? And Eleanor, over to you for questions.
Thank you, Rupa. So I would like to start with the ladies, if I may. And I would like to ask Mary, how can Toastmaster leaders be useful in today's turbulent world with their acquired mentoring skills?
Well, I think one of the most valuable skills that I've learned in mentoring is how to ask a question that matters. And all of my experience with leaders, with coaching leaders, with working with leaders is leaders who know how to hone their question skills and their listening skills have a profound way of connecting with the people that they lead. A leader who asks a question that matters can work with their employees so their employees know this is someone who cares about what we're doing. So I think that's how I bridge mentoring with today's leaders. Learn how to ask some good questions that matter.
Thank you, Mary. And now I would like to ask Jaap, the leaders we develop in Toastmasters, how can they make the world better today?
Interesting. To make the world better in leadership. I think leadership starts with what just Mary too said, listening to each other. Try to find out what do we have in common, not what divides us, what we have in common. Leadership means too that you try to find a solution for differences and not trying to escalate it to something what's horrible. Leadership is really a way of thinking of how can we work together. I mentioned the 3 levels of leadership, teamwork, or even if you work in a company organization or in a governmental organization, You always have to find what are our common grounds, our differences. And that, I think, is the challenge of leadership all over the world. Does that answer your
Thank
question?
you. Yes, thank you. And now I would like to give the floor to our audience. If anyone wants to ask a question, please raise your hand. Okay, then I will continue. Mary, how we boil an egg?
You know, there are seriously about 4 or 5 ways you can boil an egg.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, it does take some water in a pan, but it is remarkable how many times you could find the best way to boil an egg online today.
Yeah, but I like my my egg boiled hard, and you like it soft. What's the
Yeah.
difference?
Okay, thank you very much. And now I give back the floor to our Toastmaster because we need to continue. Thank you for being here today with us.
Thank you very much, Eleanor, and do keep the questions coming, folks. Again, doing something slightly different, we are going to allow a 5-minute comfort break, so you can either step away from the screen for a couple of minutes just to reflect on what you've heard already and get ready for the next 6 speeches. I am going to take a short break as well. Please be back by 53 minutes past the hour, and I'm going to hand to Helena Bowden-Brewer to keep the chit-chat going for those that are staying with us in this break. Over to you, Helena.
Thank you very much, Rupert. And can we give a warm round of applause to all of our speakers that we have heard from so far? Haven't we had a brilliant session so far? So thank you, everybody. I love the fact that we're using our reaction buttons today. And I love the fact that we've had smiley faces, we've had hearts. So what other reaction buttons haven't we used? Has anyone got a quick reaction button? Oh, what's Teresa got going on there? Love it, Teresa. Anybody else got all the smiley faces over there and laughing faces? Wonderful. Let's get those reactions there. Because even if you're off camera, you can use your reaction buttons to clap, to raise a thumbs up, smiley faces, thumbs up. Thank you, David. Thank you, Brian. Thumbs ups are going there. And also the interesting thing that's come in the chat there is how to boil eggs. I think that could be the topic of the day going on in the chat. Thanks to Mary on that one. And Mary said there were 4 or 5 ways. I'm now curious. I will have to go and have a look. I just thought you put it in a pan and boiled it. I've obviously been misled, and I need the joys of cooking to be able to talk about this a bit more with you, Mary. But we may have to have a mentoring session on boiling eggs. Who knew that was going to be an outcome from this particular session? When we started the session today, we were talking about strong and steady. And I think as the speeches have developed today, we've also been touching on those principles of Toastmasters. I dug out my core values coin. Who else has got one of these wonderful coins? Thumbs up reactions. Have we got a thumbs up reaction for everybody that's got a perfect, wonderful reactions for thumbs up for those? I tend to keep it with me when I do Toastmasters events because it's just a reminder of the organization and what we're saying yes to. The integrity, the respect, the service and excellence. And I think anybody that has stepped up to support today is really giving their time to their serving the organization. And obviously we're having the excellence of their speeches as well, which is fantastic. And I'm also very privileged, I guess, to also know a number of the speeches because I've actually, Jaap was one of my regional advisors when I was serving as a district leader. So our paths have crossed. I've also had my paths crossed with Andy Hammond as I was his conference director when he was PQD. So I served with Andy and then went on to serve for him as well. I've had the joy of meeting Mary when we were observers in a counting situation at a district convention at Nashville when we were supporting candidates that were standing for international director candidacies in the election process then. And I have to say, that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing to be in the room for your candidate at that stage. Mary was looking after somebody in Region 2. That was quite quick. I was looking after Region 10. We had quite a way to go by the time we were stuck in the room for some time. So that's how I've met Mary. And Dan Magill, I was very fortunate to have met when he gave his speech at Bracknell, when we had our conference at Bracknell. He was one of the contestants at that particular contest. So I've met Dan Magill. And also, really fun fact, who here in the room, thumbs up for all you Evertonians in the room? Anybody that supports Everton Football Club? There we go, Dan Magill, there we go. So Dan and I have that in common as well. We support the same team. As we look forward to now the second part of the meeting, I can see that Rupert Datta is now back in the room. And I look forward to hearing from all of the rest of the speakers as we go through the next session. Thank you very much. And remember to use those reaction buttons. Over to you, Rupert.
Thank you very much, Eleanor, for keeping the chit-chat going, something that we've done a lot in district events over the past few years. Great to see that we've still got about 100 people in this audience. Again, we're supposed to be inviting friends to Toastmasters. We've heard about people and the power of inviting friends to Toastmasters, so invite someone to join the second half of this session and let's see how we go. Our next two speakers, again, are known to me. Speaker number 5 was Region Advisor of Europe the year I was Club Growth Director, so in the pandemic year. However, she's also a past international president. Distinguished Toastmaster Pat Johnson says that she would not be the same today if it were not for the places she's visited, the books she's read, and the people she's met. We spent some time together eating ice cream when she was in London a couple of years ago. She'll be talking about 2 people in particular that she's met during her Toastmasters journey. People that saw right through her and called her forward into her potential for greatness. The trajectory of her life has changed as a result. So with a speech entitled "A Journey Begins with a Single Step," please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Pat Johnson.
Thank you so much, Rupa, and welcome, friends and fellow Toastmasters. Not just a single step, but perhaps a single encounter. Have you ever met that special someone who helped you take a deeper look at yourself? The very moment that this powerful woman's steely blue eyes locked into mine, I knew I was about to be changed. Her arm went around my shoulder in a firm lock. I swallowed and listened very carefully. She said, "When are you going to stop being such a victim in your life? Everyone is sick and tired of listening to you moan and groan about your life and how things always happen to you. When are you going to start taking control, Pat?" I couldn't believe what she was saying to me. At that moment, my inner voice struggled to be heard. Now, note I said my inner voice, and it sounded like this. "Why are you doing this to me? You asked me to talk about what was happening in my life, and as soon as I started to talk, you interrupted me. What are you doing? You don't even know me. Why are you embarrassing me like this? I don't want this kind of attention. Why are you so mean? I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor, and I'm doing the best I know how. I didn't ask for this attention. I just want to get this over with and sit down." Well, because I wasn't able to say those words out loud to Maxine and the workshop participants, those thoughts and feelings engulfed me with sadness, heartache, and embarrassment. Silent tears started streaming down my face, only adding to my humiliation in that moment. Oh, sure, now I have to do the ugly cry in front of 65 participants in a seminar where I'd already spent 3 whole days, and I really just wanted to find somebody to be a friend with. I didn't want to go through this kind of stuff. And a sob broke through the silence. My sob, as my heart broke in 2. But Maxine's powerful arms supported me as my legs trembled and the urge to fold into a sobbing heap fought for control in that moment. Maxine stood strong. She supported me physically and emotionally. She held me as my mind fought for a way to escape from this pain and humiliation. I'm not a victim, am I? I don't think so. As part of our group session that morning, we'd been asked to share what was happening in our lives. Until Maxine had challenged me, I thought I'd been doing a pretty good job of my life. But Maxine, she didn't see it that way. She saw deep into me. She saw my truth. She saw a frightened, confused, disempowered woman who needed someone, actually anyone, who believed in her. Maxine called me on my stuff that day and helped me grow a backbone for Pat. That day in that place with those women, I found a person. No, I actually found a group of people who saw a glimpse of who I could possibly become. And they got to work helping me to see some of the potential that I had never been able to see. That watershed moment changed the course of my life. I took a small step forward as I caught a glimpse of my feeling of lack of control in my life. I had felt that I'd had little choice without really realizing the real truth, that I could have choice and control. Maxine and 65 women helped me take a step in that one encounter. And the journey continued. Have you ever met that special someone who helped you take a deeper look at yourself? When Eric said to me, "Your only response is thank you," I knew again I was about to see some changes in my life. Oh no, another one of those embarrassing moments in my life. I hate when people say things like that to me and make such a fuss over me. I squirmed. Why make such a big deal about this and embarrass me? As we stood face to face, Eric said, "Pat, the only acceptable response to a compliment is thank you. Nothing more, nothing less, just thank you. When you reject or downplay a compliment, you're actually rejecting my opinion, and it feels like you're calling me a liar. I'm not. It's simply my opinion, and the only acceptable response is thank you." His words reached deep inside me to where my insecurities and self-doubt lived and thrived. And the magic of that lesson with Eric at that time happened because I cared and respected Eric. I trusted him like few people in my life at that moment. And as a result, I was able to hear deeply what he was really saying to me. I knew bottom line that he had no intentions of embarrassing me. And he was just one more person who was sent into my life to help me take a deeper look at me. That deep look inside forced me to challenge my negative self-talk, to shatter those old stories that I'd held as truths, and to allow Eric's perception of me to seep in to my old awareness. I realized that I didn't have to agree with his many compliments, but I was able to get to a place where I could hear and accept his opinion. And I did. I was able to go on to ask, to learn, to ask for help because of Maxine and the 65 women who helped me gain control of my life. And I was able to move forward in life and ask for help because I had developed a healthy self-esteem because of Eric and his thank you lessons. People come and go in our lives, and our journey continues. I fervently hope that people have stepped into your life to support and encourage you with some hard truths and lessons of how to keep you moving forward. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, past International President Pat. If you've just joined us, folks, we are giving you the opportunity to ask questions of our speakers, so please field them to our Q&A master, Eleanor. Our next speaker is the immediate past region advisor for Europe. And this is going to be a bit of an experiment that we're doing now. So if I can ask the Zoom master to try and bring him on screen. Piotr Chimko says for him, hiking is healing. When he goes up the mountain, it is hard and he's sweating and swearing. It's like a challenge he would never have taken if given a choice. But when he gets to the top of the mountain, that's where the miracle happens. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Piotr Chimko.
Hey, good day, everybody. I hope you can hear me. So if you could just thumbs up, I would appreciate. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So when I was signing up for this event, to speak at this event, I had no idea what I would be doing during this weekend. And it turned out that I'm going to be hiking. It's a hiking event for me with my friends, and I'm just going down from one of the mountains around. And I decided when I realized I would be hiking that I'm going to share with you how I prepare the hiking, how I prepare for hiking, how I do my hiking. And well, it starts with an idea. Hey, let's go to the mountains. And then we plan. I took out the map. I read about the place where I'm going. I read about the trails, and I prepare for my trip. Then the day comes. I pack up. I go to the place from where I'm supposed to set off, and just go up. And sometimes it's a little bit harder. Sometimes it's not so hard. Today it was moderately hard, moderately difficult. But overall, wherever I go up the hill, it's not easy. It's a challenge. It's always a challenge, whether the hill is not so steep, or sometimes it's steep. Today it was pretty steep. It's always a challenge. And then when I go up, like Rupa was kind to quote me, I swear, and I actually say the words I shouldn't be saying here. And it's very difficult. My face is swelling. I'm all red. It's very difficult for me to catch the breath. So sometimes I have to stop to take a breath and take a little bit of a rest. And then sometimes it takes half an hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3, sometimes 5 hours going up and up and up. And when I'm actually in the process, I hate it. I really hate myself. I say to myself, you idiot, why the hell you decided to set off on that trip? You could have stayed home. You could have watched some Netflix, you could have done something with your kids. You could have done something else. You could go biking or whatever, something that doesn't require so much energy from you. And I'm really mad at myself. There is a very interesting internal dialogue that's going on inside my head that says, you stupid idiot. And the other says, yeah, you wanted it. You wanted a bike. Now you need to pedal. You wanted it. It was your decision. And then that internal dialogue keeps going until I reach the summit. I reach the top of the mountain. And then I have views, and then there is a shelter with some great food, with some great drinks, and finally I can rest, and I have a feeling of accomplishment. Finally, I can feel the reason why I did all that. Sometimes people say when asked, why are you going in the mountains? And usually the best answer I heard is that if I have to explain that to you, I won't be able. But if I don't have to explain it to you, well, you know. So either you know or you don't know, and I can't change anything about it. I just encourage you to set off on the trail and try it for yourself. And the reason is that in my life, I take challenges exactly the way I take hiking. When there is a challenge on the horizon, like professional challenge. Hey, Piotr, would you like to take that role? Would you like to take that project? And I know it's going to be hard. I know I'm going to be sweating and swearing and cursing myself for making that decision. And I know I'm not going to like myself for some time for actually signing up for that. And then the months pass, and sometimes a little bit, sometimes more than months, sometimes years, 1 year, 2 years, and the project is done, and it's a success. We celebrate. And then I finally understand why I did that. And I finally have a sense of accomplishment, and finally can think, maybe it was all worth it, because from the mountains, the views are beautiful. And when you accomplish something something important in your life, some big project, the sense of accomplishment is absolutely incomparable to anything else. And also, that's why I sign up for the roles in Toastmasters. You know, if you ask me 5 years ago, well, would you be a regional advisor in future? I would say, well, I don't know. It depends on how I feel about it. And then it's a quite long form that you need to fill in before when you want to apply for RA. And I actually decided to do that, to spend considerable amount of time writing filling in that form. And then I send it, and I say, well, and the rest is we'll see what the future brings. And then I was appointed regional advisor, and I had hard times. I was swearing and sweating and cursing myself. But then when we went to California to celebrate the accomplishments, the results, I felt very, very happy that I could stand on the stage with 5 out of 8 of my districts, which I supported throughout the year, to celebrate being distinguished, select distinguished, president distinguished, or Smedley distinguished. That's how I approach life. That's how I approach challenges, and that's how I approach hiking. So if you've never hiked, try it by yourself. Because for me, the way how attacking challenges happens with the way attacking a mountain happens is exactly the same. So thanks for inviting me for this wonderful event. I wish you a great day ahead, and good luck in your challenges.
Thank you very much, Piotr. And before we let you go, if the audience has any questions for Piotr and Pat, please feed them in, and let's have Eleanor back on stage for questions.
Thank you, Rupa. Well, I will make my question first to Piotr in order to be able to leave him. So, Piotr, I would like to ask you about the hardest Toastmaster peak. Which was your Toastmaster harder peak, and how you succeed in reaching it?
Well, I would like to say, and I really feel it was being a regional advisor, and there are 2 reasons for that. One is that for me it was really relatively difficult to understand how much influence I have on the success of the districts. It's very, very indirect, very intangible. I believe I did my best. I wanted to do my best. I know I had some hiccups on the way, but it was hard. For me, it was hard. That was one reason why it was hard. And the second is that I underestimated certain obstacles that might come my way during the term, and they kind of misled me in the beginning of my term. So it was pretty difficult for a number of reasons, but those are 2 main reasons. Yeah? And it was definitely the hardest thing I've done in Toastmasters so far, and also, make no mistake, the most I had the most. The highest sense of accomplishment and the highest gratitude and the feelings. What happened after I finished my term, it was immense. It was absolutely incomparable to anything else I've done before in Toastmasters. So it was all worthwhile. It was like the hardest mountain I climbed in Toastmasters so far, but with the best views.
Thank you, Piotr. And now I would like to ask Pat. Sometimes we are members of clubs, and some new members of ours think that they don't need any help. How can we motivate our members to ask for help since we have so many people that are willing to provide help?
Oh, tough question. Is there a right or wrong answer to this? I don't think so. For me, I'm certainly willing to offer help. I think that if we offer help and it's not welcomed, or the person's not willing to take it on, it's best to go and look for somebody who's actually looking for help and asking for help. I find that those people are endless, and we can inspire people around us if they wish to be inspired, but those are things that we can't make happen. It's like putting somebody in a classroom or assigning a coach to someone. They can sit through that and be unchanged if they determine so, but it's when we come open and vulnerable enough to take that feedback on, to take that coaching, to take that help, that we actually stand to change. I know that certainly many times in my life, Maxine, Eric, many other people who have had an impact on me only impacted me because I was willing to listen and take it on. We have many defenses that keep us from listening to those people around us. That, first of all, we're afraid of where we would go or who we might become or what we have to give up in ourselves to become a new version of ourselves. And we have to be vulnerable. So I think that I wouldn't waste time with somebody that didn't want help. They may want help down the road, and I'd be willing to share that, whatever I could at that time. But work with those people who are already vulnerable and curious and looking, and partner with them so that we can support them on their journey. And what I know is, in return, we also get supported and encouraged on our journey. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and a very good advice for all the club officers today that are attending here this meeting. Thank you all for being here today with us, and I pass the floor to Rupa for continuing the session.
Thank you very much, Elena. Thank you very much, Pat and Piotr. For those of you that have just joined us, a reminder that the theme for this session is slow but steady, constantly learning and constantly moving forward. And we've heard 6 speeches to that effect so far and 4 more to go. Our next speaker is also a past region advisor that served at the same time Pat served in Europe, but he served in Region 11. Sunil Kottarathil has a speech called 3 E's. Distinguished Toastmaster Sunil will share a few lessons he has practiced in making leaders at club to district level. The floor is yours, Sunil.
When you look around, do you see the need to have more leaders? I mean, more true leaders. Look at your workplace, at the social organizations you are part of, even your family, or the Toastmasters district or clubs around you. Madam Toastmaster and leaders across the world. When I look around, I can see many units struggling to find true leaders to lead their group. Look at the districts. Each year, we are getting 15 to 30 area directors, 5 to 10 division directors, and other district leaders. However, we hardly see even 10% of them coming forward next year to serve the district. Why? So the first E, let me introduce the first E to look into this issue. That's encourage. We need to encourage the members. Most of the leaders, they get worn out by the time they finish their term. So we need to encourage them to make them understand what's in for them if they take up the next level role or if they continue the leadership journey. In my journey, I found it's very effective from the club level when we were struggling to find leaders to serve as club officers to fill those 7 officer positions. By encouraging them and making them understand what they can get from those roles, that made a big difference in my experience. Now, the second E that comes when you encourage people, what's the next step? That's not enough. Once you encourage and they're ready to take up the next role, the second E comes to picture. Educate. Only when you give them proper education, proper training, you will see that they become true leaders. Every member, every club officer, every district officer, we have a system in Toastmasters to train them. The club officer training, COT. However, we should not be limiting these trainings, these educations, just 1 or 2 sessions. It's a continuous journey. We keep educating ourselves and we educate others. That's the second E. Now, after encouraging and educate, when they are ready to serve, keep empowering them. That's the third E. Empower. Empower the leaders. Empower them to take up challenges. Empower them to lead the unit, whether it is club, whether it is area, division, district. When they are ready, let us empower, and you will see true leaders made around our world. If you follow these steps, the clubs or the district will not find lack of leaders. I have been using the power of the 3 E's in my Toastmaster journey. I can share the last 2 or the recent 2 experiences. The first one, encouraging, educating, and empowering a leader to be the international director last year. But it was not a short-term course. It took 5 or 6 years to do encouraging, then educating, and empowering to reach that level. If you put that much effort, you can get the result. This is the best way to serve our fraternity. Now, the second experience, encouraging, educating, and empowering a district to be world number 1. That irrespective of all the challenges they faced as a newly reformed district. That was an amazing experience. Just imagine a person who's just born, who keeps no hope in moving forward. And if you can encourage them, educate, and then empower to be on top of the world, what brings you, what can bring you more joy? So from all this, what I have seen this year, or what I'm doing this year, is continuing the same journey with another 4 districts that approached me to be sustainably strong. So our organization needs leaders. Our organization needs true leaders to lead us towards the future. Let's continue the journey. So leaders, look around you. Use your energy, efforts, and everything in your hands to encourage, educate, and empower people around you. Let the journey continue, and let us see a better world around us. Let us shine with more leaders who will lead our organization and make the whole world a better place to live. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, past regional advisor, distinguished Toastmaster Sunil D. Okay, so from Region 11, we we come back into Region 10 and another past international president. Ted Corcoran normally refers to me as Brenda's friend whenever I see him at international conventions. He joined Toastmasters back in 1985, and from there actually moved rapidly through club and district positions until 94-95, when as district governor he led District 71 to President's Distinguished District, placing number 2 in the world. Elected International Director representing districts outside North America in 1996, he went on to be elected 3rd Vice President in 2000. In his year as International President in 2003-2004, Toastmasters International as an organisation exceeded 10,000 clubs and 200,000 members for the first time since its foundation. Since then, he has served as regional advisor a number of times, served on various board committees, and is an active member of the advisory committee of past presidents. Ladies and gentlemen, with a speech entitled "A Century Ends, a New Century Beckons," please welcome past international president, distinguished Toastmaster Ted Corcoran.
Madam Toastmaster Rupa, fellow Toastmasters, a century ends, a new one beckons. What role will you play in it? What is your goal or purpose in the next stage of your membership in club, district, or in our organisation? Will you pursue it with passion and perseverance? How will you leave a mark on Toastmasters International? I'd like to reflect for a few minutes on the role Dr. Smedley and our predecessors have played in the advancement of Toastmasters and the role we, the current standard bearers, are playing, and the members who will follow us surely will play. How did Dr. Smedley's unique idea 100 years ago grow into a worldwide organization of some 14,000 clubs and nearly 300,000 members? He certainly left a mark that lasted as he pursued his dream with both passion and persistence. Dr. Smedley's vision was to provide an organization where individuals could go to improve their communication skills of thinking, listening, and speaking in a friendly, supportive, and enjoyable environment. In turn, and in the process, they would improve their leadership skills to be more effective leaders in their profession, community, and their homes. He saw as a major part of being a successful leader the ability to persist in face of obstacles and failures. Dr. Smedley also envisioned the organization being a powerful force in fostering and guiding individuals to achieve personal growth. Since then, thousands and thousands and thousands of ordinary members over the last 100 years, instilled with a sense of service and driven by the idea that improving people's communication and leadership skills would not alone help the individual, but their communities, their country, and their world, worked hard to make it happen. Freely giving their time and acting with a real sense of purpose, underlaid with passion and persistence, like Dr. Smedley, they spread the idea of Toastmasters across the world. Today, we honor their contributions to Toastmasters and to society generally. What Dr. Smedley started and our forefathers expanded, it now falls to us and those who will follow us, the volunteers, to continue this momentum and growth. The old saying is so correct, you know, if it is to be, it is up to me. Like our predecessors before us, we're currently the responsible ones. We're all here for a while. We leave our mark on our club, district, and Toastmasters in one way or another. But inevitably, that mark could one day disappear or be overtaken by a better idea or practice. Yet, as we in time also move on, our wonderful organization lives on after us. continuing to change the lives of countless people for the better. So our contributions now, no matter how small, still matter. I recall a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, which in metaphorical form deals with this. Let's call it leaving our mark and moving on, while the organization we've served continues to thrive and grow. The poem is entitled, "The Tide Rises, the Tide Falls," and it contrasts the certainty of the tide with the fragility of individual actions and events through the example of the traveler. The tide rises, the tide falls. The twilight darkens, the curlew calls. Along the sea sands damp and brown, the traveler hastens towards the town. And the tide rises, the tide falls. Darkness settles on roofs and walls, but the sea in the darkness calls. The little waves with their soft white hands efface the footprints in the sands. And the tide rises, the tide falls. The morning breaks, the steeds in their stalls stamp and neigh as the hostler calls. The day returns, but never more returns the traveler to the shore. And the tide rises, the tide falls. Fellow Toastmasters, in this poem it could be said that each one of us is that traveler, as were Dr. Smedley and our predecessors before us, while Toastmasters is the tide, still very active after 100 long successful years. Fellow travelers, wishing you safe travels on your onward journey as a Toastmaster member. And please, 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 leave your mark as you go. Then the next century of success is assured. A century ends, but a new century surely beckons. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, past International President Ted. Can I throw back now to our Q&A master, Eleanor, and let's have questions for Ted and Sunil. Eleanor, you're on mute.
Hello. The microphone was muted. So I would like to ask Sunil, how can, with these 3 E's, influence, Sunil, the business world? Can these 3 E's help the business world too?
It can be applied in any world, not only business field, any field, I will say. The most important thing I always follow is, if you want to help someone, ask more questions. What help that particular or the individual needs? Ask him the areas he is struggling. Then apply the 3 E's. So basically, create a strategy, a plan for that particular goal, and start from scratch, start from the first step. You encourage in the business world, say, for example, if you want to start up a new business or a startup company, ask more questions to understand what they really need, which area. Encourage them to start on different field. Or if you see a gap in their thought process, you try to fill that, encourage them to fill those gaps. Then educate them more on that particular field. And then empower them. Give more tips, how they can financially support, how can they help from others. And so if you apply these 3 anywhere, I can surely guarantee the success is not yours, theirs. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. And to Mr. Ted. Mr. Ted, I would like to ask something I was thinking about, and I would like your advice since you have a lot of experience. We have many leaders in Toastmasters, that they are very competent and they can help their districts, their divisions, but sometimes they lose during the elections. And sometimes we lose these people, but they are very competent and very helpful for the organization. How can we keep them?
Well, I think you have a problem that no other district in the world has, because the problem recently is finding leaders, and it has been particularly so since COVID started. And I know that in many districts, they're hunting for area directors, et cetera, each year. So I'm not too sure the answer for your particular problem, but I would think that there's always room for committees in every district to get things done. For example, a club building committee, people who are anxious to lead and serve, there's a wonderful idea for that. And there must be other opportunities as well. I'm not sure that somebody is a great leader if he or she is beaten in an election and then quits. That's not really the sign of leadership for me. It's a sign of quitting, not leading. So yes, I hope that those people will find some niche or some role to make them feel involved and contribute to our great organization. Back to you.
Thank you both for your answers. Thank you for being here with us today. And I give back the floor to Rupa to continue.
Thank you very much, Eleanor, and thank you again, Ted and Sunil. Okay, we are staying in the British Isles, but we're coming from Ireland back to England and another past international director. Distinguished Toastmaster Teresa Dukes asks, do you ever blush when someone says to you, hey, you're my guiding light? Have you ever backed away from praise or recognition? Have you ever thought of yourself as influential? Teresa is here to shed a light on what influence can do. She has trained and coached more than 30,000 business leaders to uncover their potential and step into their power so that they can increase their influence. Please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Teresa Dukes with her speech entitled Woman of Influence.
Do you know what? Someone asked me ages ago, hey, Teresa, why did you join Toastmasters? And I just kind of turned and looked at them really quickly and I went, because I needed to get a divorce, you see? And a lot of people kind of laugh at that and they think, oh God, what's going on here? But it was really true. At that particular point in time, I was actually clinging on to a life that was literally slipping from my fingers, slipping straight through them. It had gone from being this wonderful fairy tale to an absolute nightmare. I had to make a really big decision, you see. I had to decide, should I stay in this really abusive marriage, or should I actually do something and make a change so that I could take my life back? Well, I think a lot of you out there know I am a woman of action. And I actually decided there and then that I was going to take my life back. And that's when I joined this beautiful organization. It is amazing what it does for us. And I can tell you, since the beginning, or since that fateful day back in 1999, when I joined the first club, Ipswich Electrifiers, big up, yeah, I've actually spent decades since then working as a professional speaker, an executive coach. Some people call me a transformational expert, but I actually just like helping people understand their potential and really step into their power. Because if we can help people unlock their potential, God, the road to success is just vast. You just don't even have to worry about it. But for me, I've had to work really hard to build my expertise. And you never do this on your own. There's always somebody out there, or quite a few people out there that have helped along the way. Now, you just heard from one of them, and that was our past international president, Ted Corcoran. He's been my inspiration and a mentor for many years. I remember the day I was elected as the district director for 71, and he encouraged me and said, keep on going, Teresa, you're going to be fine. Just remember you're in charge, take responsibility. And even when I missed that role as international director in 2013, he says, it's okay, Teresa, think about what you really want to do and then take action. But he's one of many. Craig Valentine, a fabulous speaker, 1999 world champion of public speaking. I've been working with him a lot lately, especially on coaching people through speaking. And that's an amazing place to be when we're in an organization of communicators. And what Craig does is he has the most amazing way to encourage you to face your fears. And I know all of us have different fears that we face. But that's okay. As long as you have that courage and that confidence to step up, you will be amazed at what you can do. But recently, I had a friend call me up and they said something to me. They say, hey, Teresa, did you know you're a woman of influence? And I went, really? Am I? Am I? I don't know what to say. So I just kind of smiled and went, okay, whatever you say. But every time somebody says something like that to me, I always kind of blush a little bit and get a little, insecure about it because I'm just being me. And I think that's what this organization has allowed me to do, is just to be me, the real me, though. But I tell you what, if my younger self had been sitting here when that person said that to me, I would have probably crawled under the table. Now, I know that a lot of you out there have similar situations you've gone through. A little bit different, maybe, but similar in circumstances. So I want to ask you a question. What do you think, or have you ever wondered what made the difference for you? What really made the difference? Because I can tell you right now, this organization that we're sitting in has a lot to answer for, right? Because you see, it pulls you in when you are at your most vulnerable, because that's exactly what it did to me. But it pulled me in when I really needed it, at a time when I needed to make a really big decision. And you know what? It does it when you absolutely have no idea what to expect or what's going to happen once you do join. But it's one of those places that makes you feel at home. It helps you face challenges that you never ever dreamed you were ever going to face. And if you stumble, like I have done before, it allows you to look around and find somebody who's going to help pick you up. And they will, I guarantee it, because it happened to me back in 2011 when Jim Key and Pat Johnson, hi Pat, they were with me in London, and we were walking down the hill to King's Cross train station just to go see the sights in London. And you guys know me, I love my high heel shoes. And that particular day, these shoes were a little bit too high, and I fell straight to my knees. But these two wonderful people, they turned around and looked at me and they went, oh my God, let us help you get up. And they lifted me to my feet. And they said to me, it's okay, Teresa, we got you. And that's what this organization is all about. It absolutely does more than what it says on the tin. So no matter what the reason is for you being a part of this organization, I can guarantee you that the investment, the return on your investment is priceless, because it has given me the courage to reach out whenever someone else is in need. It helps build our confidence so that, when we think we can't do something, oh my God, we actually turn around and we succeed. But one of the favorites that I think this organization does is it helps us connect with people across the world in different countries, different cultures, different ethnicities. And when they're facing challenges, we can be there to help them and support them and collaborate with them as we go through life. So, am I a woman of influence? I think I'm going to leave that up to you to decide. But more to the point, I want you to answer this question. Are you a person of influence? Are you actually walking the walk and talking the talk and living the life? Because you're sat here in front of everybody on this screen. You're in this beautiful picture. So I want everybody to take a look at yourself. That's right. Look in the camera. Find yourself in your square. Have your video on. Take a really good long look at yourself. Because like I said earlier, Toastmasters has a lot to answer for, doesn't it? So here is to all of our wonderful people of influence, and to celebrate our first centennial, and to also toast us to our next. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Teresa. And we are almost at the last leg of this particular flight, folks.